To be clear, I think Erased is great. The animation, the way in which story elements, not often seen in combination, are brought together so effectively, the deep themes that are explored, I really like the anime overall. But it does something at the end that I personally feel greatly undermines much of what precedes it, and that is returning Satoru to the present 3 years early. It's like a reverse of the Christ's resurrection story, except that was 3 days and... even though there's a pretty decent chance that this is intentional symbolism, I'm not really in the mood to unpack it right here. So moving on, things do start off quite nicely. Here we have the story of a 29-year-old man, Satoru, struggling with regret. He wishes he would have done things differently, and no longer sees a way forward in pursuit of his dreams. He's a failed manga storyteller, and that's that. The past is unchangeable. He's getting older. It's time to accept that things are unlikely to change for him. As one publisher puts it,
"You say you're 29 now? Yeah, our magazine might not be the best fit for you."
But then tragedy strikes, and a sporadic ability Satoru has but can't control sends him 18 years into his own past. At face value, this almost seems like an isekai setup, as it's clearly a form of wish fulfillment. Satoru actually gets the chance to change his life. And he does. He opens himself up. He strengthens his existing friendships and even makes new ones. He halts a string of murders that traumatized him as a child. And yet, the things he does don't benefit him in the way one might expect. The benefits are mainly internal, as later circumstances lead him to being trapped in a coma for 15 years. Instead of following the traditional isekai formula, instead of getting that complete fresh start, Satoru essentially wakes up to find himself back in his old reality. The changes he made don't so much impact his external circumstances as they change his internal mindset. He's still unsuccessful and pushing 30. Except that he's not. He's 26 now, for some reason. This is where the parallels and symbolism of the anime start to lose their impact. Regret is a normal, real-world issue. Reliving past events is as well, though not in the literal way Satoru experiences it in this series. That's unusual. Our past, it molds us into who we are, sometimes in very negative ways. But by reevaluating that past and coming to terms with it, we can free ourselves from things that have been holding us back. What we can't do is knock off 3 years of our life in the process. Satoru shouldn't return from taking on the obstacles of his past younger than when he started. It's cheap and unnecessary. It weakens the relatable aspects and underlying lessons that I believe this series is trying to emphasize. To make matters worse, this indulgence reinforces the idea that the Satoru at the beginning of this show really is too old to turn his life around. Whether that's an intended lesson or not, it is the way things come across. Not an ideal takeaway, is it? And certainly not something that holds true in the publishing industry, further adding to how odd and out of place this allowance seems. Satoru's not seeking to become a professional athlete. He wants to make manga. Now, I can certainly accept that age is one of Satoru's early excuses for never making it big, but it shouldn't be legitimized by the ending. It's the fact that he's
scared to dig too deep into myself.
That he isn't able to create compelling stories. Not his time to think about retiring 29 years. And frankly, I just don't see any story benefit in making Satoru younger. It really is nothing more than wish fulfillment, which doesn't seem to mesh with the grittier elements comprising the rest of the anime. Why cop out at the very end? Our decisions have lasting consequences. We can in fact change ourselves and move forward, but that doesn't mean we get any of that time back. The only thing de-aging Satoru seems to do is give him the chance to reinvent himself prior to his reunion with Airi, his old co-worker. But it's not a necessary shift. Airi already liked and respected the Satoru we started off with, flaws and all. The main barrier to their interactions then was Satoru himself. Anyway, these are just some of my thoughts on this series. Feel free to agree or disagree down below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.